I think that is a huge issue if we go that long. I don't wish that upon anybody, another 2-hour deal. That being said, I'm going to try to structure this episode a little bit different. Not so much in terms of like we'll do it by position group as we usually do, but I would like to, as we go through each position group, kind of mention specifically, where these players sit on the plague in terms of, is this a rebuilding piece? Is this a player that we can move on from, get value back from? Because we know at this point that this is going to be a rebuilding team, and we know that this is also going to be a team that's looking to acquire more draft picks, more young assets, and just as this kind of year goes on. So ideally, this team is trying to find some additional pieces, but this is not a competing team this year. So let's try to keep things with a lens of rebuilding here. So to start off, trying to think if there's any big news over the last couple days. So we had, obviously, training camps are starting.
Yeah.
So that's always exciting because football's back and everybody likes football. So really looking forward. We basically, Sean, I think we have a preseason game in a week on the 31st. So we're not even 10 days away here. So
tomorrow, all 32 teams have officially gotten to camp.
I think the Steelers were the last ones. If I
the Steelers and Falcons tomorrow, I think, are the last two.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, I'm already seeing the puff pieces are coming out. The Twitter, it's he's in the best shape of his life season. Was one of my favorite seasons, of course. So I'm sure we'll be getting a ton more news.
Unless it's Debo, then he's fat. Everybody else,
he was fat for a little, but now he's skinny again. Apparently, who knows? I think really what we're going to end up hearing, unfortunately, is the injury stuff, which sucks. We already had Tristan Wirfs. We didn't even get to camp, and he was hurt, so that sucks. But then now we also have players going on PUP, players ending up on the NFI list. Najee Harris, looking at you. Brandon Ayuk. I think we saw Ricky Pearsall. That's a great question, Sean. The thing is that thing is crazy because we have no information, and the Chargers are not releasing any information. Like,
that just makes you think the worst, right?
Absolutely. Like, if they were truly like, oh, he's going to be ready for week 1, like let's get a picture of him smiling. Let's put him on a press conference. They've done none of that, and they said he's receiving care at Stanford. Not even at their own team facilities, so that doesn't feel good either. So I don't know. That doesn't feel like a situation. I mean, it's great for Omarion Hampton stocks, but anywho, like it's him, Ricky Pearsall. I saw started on PUP. Brandon Ayuk is on PUP. I'm trying to think of some other big ones here to start the year, but there was
Taysom Hill and Eric All both on PUP.
Eric All might never play again, so that would be terrible.
We're going to keep him around.
I love the kid, but I don't think he's going to play. All right, let's get into this plague team review here. So, Sean, basically this team was a consistent contender over the last decade, frankly. They were kind of right there pretty much for the last 10 years. I mean, they were very close a couple of times, couple of runner-ups. Had a couple of bad breaks in the playoffs, just couldn't get quite over the hump. And it kind of came to a point where the running back depth on this team dried up very quickly.
Right.
And made it very hard for this team to continue to contend, basically. The receivers were great. Tight end situation was very good, and quarterback situation was great. But without the running backs, it was very hard for this team to kind of continue to plod along. Finishing in that, top 4, getting those late draft picks, not quite high enough to really hit on a big name running back, usually picking between 6 and 10 over the last few years, or not even having his pick from different various trades. So this was kind of not a surprise to see the team blow it up, if you will, here, but I don't think we've truly fully blown this team up yet. There's still some pieces that we'll get to. But kind of just your overall outlook on the plague here before we get going.
I mean, it's a bad roster on purpose with the goal of rebuilding. I mean, it is feels pretty cut and dry compared to maybe a few teams in the league, so it makes it a little easier to do an evaluation for sure. But I mean, it's really been like a stars and scrubs kind of roster for the last like I don't know, like 2 or 3 seasons where like those top end guys were really buoying up the whole roster as far as like competitive. Whether you got Josh Allen, Nick Chubb before injury, Justin Jefferson, like those top guys were. I think he had Kelsey on his team. Like,
Kelsey, Dalvin Cook in his prime there.
yep.
Just a lot of like top end guys, and obviously the running backs with Cook and Chubb kind of fizzling out here towards the end of their careers. Just it's making it really hard for this team to try to really go for it again and again when these guys just kind of aren't there. Even a Devontae Adams, this team had for a little while as well. I still believe he's still he got traded recently, so there's that to mention. So. Just a lot of older guys. But let's start with the quarterbacks here, Sean. A very different room than last year, obviously, with moving on from Josh Allen. We talked about the trade on the podcast before. This is a trade that to move Josh Allen hurts. It never feels good, but to get the return he did end up getting for him, especially in our league, being a one quarterback league, obviously, pumped up a little bit with the touchdown scoring that we have, but to get 2 firsts, I think a second as well. Not a bad return for Josh Allen, right?
Yeah, I agree. I was thinking about this the other day of like if you have such a positional advantage to where like at the quarterback position where you don't know if you're ever going to get that back in the near future, would you like just as like a fantasy theory kind of thing, like do you trade that person even if you're rebuilding, or you just trade everything else and you just try and build it back with that?
It's a great question. I mean, I think you can go both ways. I think for me personally, I would move on, and the reason mostly is because of where you can get quarterbacks in our draft. And it's not so much that you won't spend like a second to get like a Caleb Williams type or a Cam Ward or whatever, top guy comes out that year. But I'm talking more about the guys that you can get in the 3rd and 4th of our rookie drafts, which are not premium picks that you can just shoot, from the hip and just hope that you get one of them, like a Justin Herbert or Lamar Jackson or Jalen Hurts or one of these guys. Like they do pop up. So if you're talking about like the hit rates on, a 3rd round rookie, a 3rd round dynasty rookie draft pick, and you're drafting, a receiver or a running back or something like that, the hit rates on those compared to the quarterbacks we've had over the years are significantly lower. So to me, I don't mind trading it as much because you're going to have more shots at them, especially if you got all the draft capital. And then on top of that, if you're trading a guy like Allen, you're getting 2 firsts and a second, which you can use those picks, for those more premium positions where you absolutely have to have the higher draft capital for, the running backs and receivers. So like, I don't really hate it at all because I know in our league, it's a little bit easier to maybe acquire the quarterbacks. Now, if this was a 2 QB league, I think it's even harder to justify moving off of them. But I think Allen also is 29, I want to say 29, 30. So
Right.
if you're talking about the age factor here, if this team is truly going to do a full rebuild, assuming they eventually move on from a Jefferson type or, DK and those kind of guys, you're talking about a 3-ish, 4-year type rebuild to get back to full strength again. Kind of if you look at what Tibbs has done, kind of what I'm doing, and Dustin, for an example as well. All 3 of those have taken about 2 to 3 years to kind of get their feet back under them. And then now we're talking about, now we're finally contending after year 4. By that point, Josh Allen's going to be 34, 35. That's kind of older. Maybe he stops rushing as much. Maybe the value goes down.
Yeah,
that's kind of the way I look at it, at least.
Yep, totally fair. It's like a really just a fantasy philosophy kind of thing. Like, at a certain point, like you're never gonna like top, or you want to try and rebuild in the aggregate of what you get, but like some players, it just makes it so difficult. It's like the Rams trying to replace Aaron Donald like over the last couple seasons, right? Like you're not going to do it with one person, but like you hope that like you're going to hit on like 3 or 4 players that's going to make up the difference. And it's
Yeah.
just whether you believe you're going to do that or not, I guess. So just thought it was an interesting side note. Obviously, probably more than we need to talk about Josh Allen since he's not on this team anymore, but I thought it was interesting.
I mean, I think the talk is warranted mostly just because, I mean, he was the heart and soul of this team, for a long, long time. So on top of that too, just like Josh Allen in general is just such a likable fantasy player, right? Like he's an awesome dude, and he does everything. So it's like when you know you got a Josh Allen on like Sunday Night Football, you just feel good inside. Like it's got to be like I don't think I've ever owned Josh Allen now that I think about it, which is sad. I feel like I have to own him at some point.
I think I had him in redraft a couple years ago, but yeah, definitely
It just feels good.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. So he to trade him must have been even harder, because there's just like that, even Mahomes back when he was traded, like there was still, like, for me at least, I wasn't like nearly as big of a fan of Mahomes as like just like an overall, personality or whatever. So like it makes it easier to trade a guy like that. So anywho, that leaves this quarterback room with not much talent left. I'll say that.
Fair.
We've moved on from Deshaun Watson, so that's out as well. We have Jackson Dart, Matt Stafford, and Daniel Jones as this trio of quarterbacks. Matt Stafford's probably going to be your opening day starter here, you'd imagine. Just I mean, there's no better option here. There might be 2 quarterbacks that aren't even playing, so that poses a bit of an issue, in terms of tanking, I guess. If neither of those are playing, there's a bye week situation, Matt Stafford gets hurt or something, then we may not have an option here. That being said, I still think Daniel Jones is gonna take that starting job. I think we've talked about that a couple of times on the podcast here. Stafford at this point, he might, I don't know what he could get back for Stafford, but that seems like another trade candidate here, Sean. Maybe for a team that might need just a floor quarterback.
Maybe. I mean, even as a floor quarterback, Stafford, you might be just as good off just finding like somebody on the waiver wire throughout the year that's getting a start. Stafford really hasn't put up much the last year or two. I'll double check that, but he is like the perfect like quarterback for Dan this year, because like it's a respectable name that is probably doing more in name value than he is in fantasy points scored at this point.
Yeah, that's fair.
It works out pretty well. But I mean, Stafford the last 2 years has come in at quarterback 19 and 15 over the last 2 seasons. So it's actually better than I thought. I thought he was outside the top 20 the last 2 years. So, and in fairness, he got an upgrade at the wide receiver position. He's got his tight end and a new tight end back. So I think honestly, maybe it could be a more up year. I think it just depends on the touchdown passes really that are coming out, because they've been very heavy run in the red zone lately.
Yeah, and I don't think that changes a whole lot, even with Cup. I feel like it's just going to be the same offense. Sean, I will mention here, this is the first time I've ever seen this on Keep Trade Cut. We now have a current pick value and a future pick value on Keep Trade Cut, which is kind of interesting, because I was just about to ask myself, if we were to trade Matt Stafford, what could we get in return? And that pretty much wraps that up from a Keep Trade Cut value standpoint. So
I can't see it on there, but I would assume like for Stafford, or like is it like a mid to late third?
Yeah, it's 304 to 308 is
okay. Yeah,
and then for future picks, like an early third. So that makes sense to me. So I mean, Stafford is going to be your starter here on opening day. Danny Jones, I don't think anybody is excited to have him, let alone start him.
Yeah, it's funny. I was watching Anthony Richardson film today because I hate myself, but because
why would you? Well, did you watch Adonai Mitchell at least get open 70 times?
I watched Adonai Mitchell with a couple really bad drops.
He did drop a couple. I'm not going to sit here and try to defend that. There's tough ones in there.
I got curious about like the accuracy stuff and like everything, and I watched all of his attempts that were intermediate attempts, because the downfield
those are the bad ones
are right. That's exactly, and the short stuff. But Yeah, dude, he's a crazy film. Sorry, I'm gonna tangent for just 2 seconds here. He like will just absolutely mentally implode like 2 or 3 times a game, and then the other times it's just stuff that can be fixed with like repetition and like just playing more from what I watched. So
That
like
sounds right.
he really is his worst, like his own worst enemy because he can't stay on the field, he can't stay healthy, but he needs the reps. And
Yeah,
now
I
he's gonna be
mean,
splitting reps, so like he's gonna get even less. So I all that to say that I imagine that Daniel Jones is probably gonna end up starting.
if he's not starting week one, he's starting at some point. Like there's going to be some. To me, the logical play is you play Jones early, and let Anthony Richardson sit for a bit, get the reps in practice, watch you know watch maybe like the first 5 games or something like that, and just actually like get the mental reps that he needs.
Mhm.
Then once he's more comfortable, he's ready to rock. Then let's just save your job essentially as Chris Ballard. Like this is your save your job, the guy. So
Yeah.
I feel like that makes sense. So
Yeah. I was listening to the Check the Mic guys earlier, and they were talking about like how much more or how convincingly would Daniel Jones have to be better than Anthony Richardson if they're both practicing to win the job, because it really does behoove them to like if it's close, they need to start Anthony Richardson just to like save face almost.
yeah, I mean like they actually can't they actually cannot play Daniel Jones for the entire season. They don't have that option. Like because if you play Daniel Jones for the entire season, unless you're in the playoff race, then there's absolutely no way you couldn't bring those guys back. Like because you're basically saying Anthony Richardson isn't even good enough to beat out a mediocre ass Daniel Jones at best mediocre probably. So like I
Mhm.
don't know. What does that say about them? So
Yep.
and you got I not new ownership but technically new ownership there that might want to do it a different way and just start fresh.
Yeah.
So
On and on that merit, it makes me question whether he's going to start. But like he probably like gives them the best chance to go win like 8 or 9 games of the two of them right now. But like it just comes down to like, are they trying to save their jobs or are they trying to develop the quarterback? Because I don't
I
think those
mean,
two are on. They're not riding a parallel line.
no, I think it saved the jobs. I think that's what it comes down to. I think they wanted to bring in Jones to have a guy that's just kind of like steady Eddie. They can play early on, and then once that's not going well, and they're like I don't know 2-4 or something like that, then you could bring in Anthony Richardson. He loses a few games as well. Now we're like 2-6, but there's some hope because he had a couple of good games at the end of the year against the shitty teams like the Titans or something, and then there's like but he is improving. Now we can stay, right? Like I think that's where it's gonna end up. So I don't the thing is the Colts are actually a good roster, which
Their
is
roster was pretty solid.
like Ballard, as much shit as people give him, I think has actually built a good roster. And there's a lot more competition this year. The only thing they're missing is a good quarterback. That is quite
I,
literally it.
it's not probably not quite to the level of like Minnesota outside of quarterback to me, but like
No.
if you take away quarterback, the roster is probably on the top half of the AFC as far as like builds.
Yeah, like I'll take their skill players over
Yeah,
a lot of teams, and I think their
I like
defense is very underrated.
I like their front. They got some help in the secondary. I think their new DC is got absolutely like just. I mean, he got screwed in Cincinnati. Like,
Oh yeah, Anarumo had zero talent to work with, and now he actually has
yeah.
legitimate like quality. Zaire Franklin's very good, super
Mhm.
underrated. Latu's going to be better in year 2.
And they've got two good tackles and a all-world guard on their
Yeah,
team.
I really don't think there's a whole lot missing here. Anywho, that's big Colts tangent, but that's okay. Let's go to Jackson Dart. Uh, he's going to play this year, right? Like he has to at some point.
I Yeah, I mean, if I'm running the team, like I will try my hardest that he doesn't play. If it's me, I think football just goes in a different direction, so he's probably going to play. It's just a matter of like how much they can keep it insulated until he has to. Like how bad is it? Like is he playing before the coaches get fired? Are they having to start him because they are about to get fired and now like it
It's
just
kind of
seems
similar
like
to the
it's
Colts
happening.
situation.
Yeah, I think the new ownership in Indianapolis might reclude them from like doing anything in season. I think because of all the things that have happened in the offseason with Irsay passing away. But New York, I don't know if they ever fired somebody midseason either, actually. So they might get the whole season.
Did Joe Judge make it?
I believe so.
Wow.
Um,
I can't believe I remembered that guy's name.
but it's also tricky because like they've got two startable quarterbacks ahead of Dart that can go win you a game. They've got two quarterbacks that can go lose you a game pretty easily too. But I it's a tricky one. Like I would prefer him not to. I don't think he's ready to play. He definitely needs seasoning for sure.
I really, really, really believe that if it comes down to like you're about to lose, they're gonna play Dart, and then
100%. Yeah.
like if they're 2-8 or some shit or 3-7, they're gonna play Dart because there's no way you could just run through the whole season and justify to the owner, hey, we spent this much to go up and get this guy, but he's not ready yet. We got to wait another year. We got to be bad another year. We have no hope, and we're trotting out Jameis Winston for Twitter clicks because he's fun to watch, but it's just not enough to win a game. They're going to play Dart. Like Dart's, I think at some point, first of all, I just don't think the Giants are good enough, like roster wise, to have Russell Wilson, be insulated enough for them to win a ton of games. Like I think it's at best the Steelers situation where, he'll win a few games, but then eventually just Russell Wilson you. And then Jameis is Jameis. I think everybody knows what he is.
Absolutely electric if he gets any starts with Malik Neighbors though.
Oh yeah, God. Like if
he'll be first in fantasy scoring that stretch.
He'll be like 100% waiver fab budget if that happens. Like everybody will be going to get Jameis off the waiver wire. Yeah, I mean, so let's just wrap up Dart here with just like I don't love Dart where he's at right now in terms of his development. He's got a lot of work to do. I think he's much further behind the quarterbacks last year when they were coming out. Like I wasn't even a big Bo Nix guy last year, and I think he's way behind Bo Nix in terms of overall development. He's much younger. And he's a bit of a gunslinger where like that tends to not work out for rookies, especially young rookies, like just kind of sling it all over the field.
He's a gunslinger that I don't know if I necessarily believe in his arm strength like a ton. I think he's fine. I think he's got an NFL level arm.
I think he can sling it.
I remember specifically watching him and thinking to myself, like, okay, so like Bo Nix, but like the fastball is like 90% of Bo Nix because that's kind of who he reminded me of when I was watching him.
You think it's just the Ole Miss uniform? I know he's an Auburn guy, but there's something.
Could be.
I mean, I don't know. It's the SEC. I don't know. I liked Bo Nix a lot more at Oregon. That's for sure. Because when I remember watching Bo Nix at Auburn like 3 or 4 years ago, and I was like, this guy might be one of the worst quarterbacks to start for an SEC school that I've seen. Like I thought he was awful.
He was a wild man at Auburn. He was
bad. Like he was really bad. Like it's like how's this guy a prospect? But then he really turned it around. So maybe Dart can do the same thing. I don't know, but I don't feel good. Like to me, his 3,600 value in a 1 QB league seems kind of high still.
Yeah,
I know he was a first round pick, but I just don't believe. I'm not a big believer.
Yeah, there's just not a lot of success stories at the end of the first round. Like Lamar Jackson is the only one I can.
But he was just such an anomaly, though. That guy is just so different. He's completely different.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to the running backs. This room is not good, Sean. We're not going to sugarcoat it here.
Somehow, like the overall value though has gone up in like the last few weeks, though. To me,
it has bumped a little. Like there's something there. I guess we'll start at the top with Nick Chubb here. Just obviously being on the blowouts, being involved in that trade, this is one of the guys that was, part of these, championship efforts for the Plague, over the last, 5 or 6 years here. So, it had a good run. Unfortunately, the injury a couple of years ago really, really pretty much just knocked him out at that point. He's an older back to begin with. And then you have that, really, I mean, probably one of the worst leg injuries I've seen in a while. Multiple tears. That was just going to be a hard one to come back from, let alone do it on the Browns. So that just kind of didn't pan out, but that's not totally unexpected. Now he ends up with the Texans in what seems like he'll be kind of the handcuff, I guess, if you will, to Mixon on the early down rolls. So his value is pretty much tanked at this point. So I don't know. Could you have maybe tried to trade him sooner? Probably not, because of the injury. Like he kind of just got stuck in this spot. I think Dan did with kind of just the way Chubb's career kind of has ended up over the last year and a half, because prior to the injury, Chubb was still the arguably top 3 running backs in the league. Just carving people up, visions unbelievable. And like I've said it before on this podcast, like if I'm gonna bet one way or another on Nick Chubb, I'm always gonna bet on Nick Chubb, just because I think he's that good of a back, just in terms of like his mental game and IQ. So that being said, like it's hard to feel good about anything left here in the tank right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm actually a little more optimistic than that. I think he can probably steal a little bit of work from Mixon without being like just a handcuff. But I mean, he's hurt again. He broke his foot at the end of the year, so we'll see about that. But I mean, the workout videos, he looks like he's back. He's definitely like back in shape and ready to go. I mean, I just don't think Mixon is really that dynamic of a runner either at this point. So like, I don't really think they're going to look that different from each other.
You got to think Mixon's got a little more juice.
I mean,
Chubb was never a juice runner to begin with.
Yeah,
he was a vision runner.
I think he can still get you the yards that you need to get. I mean, he averaged 3.3 yards per carry last year, which is not good. 2.7 of that 3.3 was after contact.
And it was just Browns football. Just Browns football.
So he was really let down by the team around him, even when he was back and he was trying to get back from an injury. So like I still have some faith. I'm not saying he's going to be like a league winner or anything. I'm just saying I think he can contribute. And I think there are definitely going to be potential weeks, especially if there's a Mixon injury, where maybe he can play him. He's going to play him anyway because he doesn't have any running backs. But I still believe, I think there's still a little more to give.
And like to your point, like if there is a Mixon injury that, is a bigger injury, like for Dan's team specifically, like current pick value is a 4th rounder as it stands right now. Like you might be able to, flip him for a 3rd or something if he ends up getting, quote workhorse touches if a Mixon injury happens. So like to me, you don't trade him now. You kind of just ride him out, put him in your lineup, have the legacy in there for the for the name, and then hopefully situation changes and maybe you can flip him a little bit. But going to our next guy, we got Kareem Hunt, Chiefs running back. I know we've talked about Kareem Hunt and just the Chiefs backfield before on this podcast, and how Sean sees it as more of a split probably than me and Isaiah Pacheco guy, I guess, if you will. That being said, you're talking about a 30-year-old running back here as well. His better days are definitely behind him. He did get involved last year. I mean, he's not dead. So I think you got to play him probably if you're Dan's team. So I don't really know. I don't really think there is any value to trade him at this point. So you might as well just hang on to him and just use him as your rebuild. What did James call him? The train conductor, something like that. I forgot what was DeMarcus Robinson's name. Choo something. I forgot. It was like had something to do with tanking. Tank commander, maybe. I think it was something like that. So Kareem Hunt is an ideal tank commander, perhaps.
I will say I'd be curious to see what, like, if they can kind of improve on that run game from last year, because it was more of just a systemic failure of a team than it was just on the running backs. Now, Kareem Hunt is not a world beater at this point. He's not going to be gashing teams, but like the tackle play was just awful for that team last year. Like they're really not pushing people back in the run game. And even for how much you were scared by Mahomes, like you still saw just a lot of like just poor running for
And
an
they
Indian
lost. They
specific.
lost Tooney as well.
Yeah,
That's a big
yeah,
loss.
yeah. Better in pass pro at this point than he is in the run game, but still like big loss for sure.
I think all those guys, if you think about everybody, maybe except for Humphrey. Humphrey's a good run blocker, but
Creed Humphreys,
like
yeah.
even like Trey Smith is not like the best run blocker. Like he's more.
I,
All those guys are like pass guys.
that's my hot take. I think Trey Smith. I think he's like pretty overrated. So
I think we're gonna find out this year because like he's gonna have to be a bigger role.
He got significantly more help from Creed Humphrey than Creed Humphrey ever had to do on the other side because of who he had.
Right. Like it'll be interesting to see because teams are not going to be attacking.
Yeah, when you're the highest paid guard in the NFL, you're not going to get any help. Like it's just the way it is, and you're going to have a not very good right tackle more than likely next year. Whether that's God, I can't think of his name.
Jawan Taylor.
Juan Taylor, or if
that guy
it's
I hate Jawan Taylor, dude. That guy's so annoying to watch with that false start crap he does, dude. It bothers me. Like every time I watch the Chiefs, I'm like, damn it, he's going false starting again. Here he goes.
or he's lined up offsides, like one of the
just something, just cheap, just like Chiefs stuff.
I don't think he might not even end up being the starting right tackle. That could be is it Jalen Moore? Is that the swing tackle they signed?
Yeah, they got Moore, and then Simmons seems like he's going to be the left tackle.
Oh, he's going to be the left tackle. Wanya Morris is not going to win that job over.
You would hope not.
So I'd be curious to see because like Hunt wasn't terrible last year. He wasn't good, but he scored 7 touchdowns, and I think they trust him in the red zone, which makes me a little concerned that I don't think Pacheco is going to just eat in the red zone. So
yeah, he's going to play. Like he's going to get touches. So like for Dan's team at this point, we're looking for anybody with a pulse. Devin Singletary, obviously they bring in Cam Scattaboo. They still have Tyrone Tracy, who basically got his job taken away from him essentially from Tyrone Tracy last year. He is a coach's pet, if you will, to Daboll. He really loves him, but I think at the very best, this is some sort of running back by committee where all three of these guys are getting some level of touches, but it seems like Singletary is going to start being the odd man out. Starting this year, essentially, he's going to be 28 this year. Did not have a good year last year, really at all. So I think he's just going to fade.
I mean, the Giants, once again, were probably the worst run blocking unit in the NFL last year. Like their offensive line was just awful. So Singletary is probably going to be the most annoying like running back in the league if you have somebody other than Singletary in that backfield, where you're like, why is he on the field?
Right.
So much, but just enough to not be fantasy relevant though too. So
yeah, I'm trying to think of like some other player that's been like him recently, and I can't really come up with one off the top of my head, but I know there's been a guy like him where it's like
Dare Agumbawale.
Yeah, somebody like that, or like even like a late stage AJ Dillon to some extent, where it's like, okay, he's gonna get some touches, but it's really gonna have absolutely no value, like 22 yards or something, like something like that. So that being said, I like Devin Singletary, so it's sad to see him kind of just like fade off into obscurity, but that's kind of where we're at. Next on the list for value is Khalil Mullings, which if you said a couple of years ago that he would have more value than Antonio Gibson, I would have called you crazy. But Khalil Mullings is in the fight of his life to be the RB3 with Julius Chestnut. So that's going to be a big time preseason watch. Khalil Mullings versus Julius Chestnut, who just never seems to go away as the RB3 on that team. But I love him. Mullings is an interesting guy. Well, I'll say this. He's the only guy on this team with this body type, which like Julius Chestnut is a big guy, but he has absolutely no explosiveness. So like
So
this is like you actually have a shot at relevancy here because of he's so big and so strong and fast.
gotcha.
So like that's I'll give him that because like he might end up being like some sort of goal line person at some point. But he's extremely raw, and I watched a lot of his tape along with Donovan Edwards from last year, which was a giant waste of time in the grand scheme of things. But he is not a running back as it stands right now. Like he has zero. Like if his vision was a Madden rating, it'd be like -10. He just can't do it right. He's like a linebacker. Remember Alan Bradford? You remember him?
Nope.
Wow. Well, Bucs fans would remember him because he started his career as a linebacker and then went to Seattle and was a running back at the end of his career. So like he's an Alan Bradford type. Where it's just like he doesn't have the running back stuff, but he has the running back athleticism. So we'll see. He's potentially even cuttable on most teams, but on Dan's team, he's the 4th running back in value. So next on the list, we got Antonio Gibson, who definitely I would basically call dead at this point. I know you had something for him.
I'll give you a fun fact on Gibson. He led the NFL in yards after contact per attempt last year. There you go.
That's actually insane.
Yep.
How many attempts did he have? Like 4? There's got to be some loophole in this stat. Hold on a second.
No, he had more than that because I was
he had to, yeah.
Keep vamping. I'll find it.
I got nothing for. I remember how, there was at one point in his value, everybody thought he was Jesus Christ. He was like 7,900 on the value. He was worth.
Was he really?
Yeah, dude, he was worth multiple firsts probably at one point. Oh, and then he has just gone nothing but down. I mean, just an absolute like the meteoric rise because I think he was in our draft. He was a late 3rd or 4th or something that Dan took him.
Gibson had 120 attempts last year.
Wow.
4.5 yards after contact per carry.
What was his yards per carry and just in general?
4.5.
That's not even that bad. What are we doing here?
All of his yards were after contact last year, according to.
So you're telling me behind that shit offensive line, maybe this guy's got something here. Maybe he's not dead.
The only reason I don't like Gibson is because he can't hold on to the ball. Like he
does fumble. He does fumble. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this seems like a prime like trade candidate. Like he's not gonna play.
I'm just boosting the.
How can we find a way to give Antonio Gibson some more relevancy? Because we are trying. To me, why wouldn't, if you're another team and like you kind of like, if you're a team like the Cowboys, I'd throw fucking like 7th at this just to see what you got, I mean, those numbers are a bit eye-opening. I'll say that. Somebody with non-eye-opening numbers is AJ Dillon. You want to talk about dead? I think we might be here.
Yeah, we'll see if he makes the team. He's had some crazy health stuff, neck surgeries that kept him out over the last 2 seasons almost.
And he at one point he had 1st round value too at 5,800. Man, crazy. I will say this about Dan's running backs. Now that I'm kind of looking through it, this team has drafted running backs and just let the value just tank. Like we're not trying to trade these guys like a Nick Chubb, a Kareem Hunt.
Feels like Justin's wide receiver room.
Yeah, kind of similar, to be honest. Like we're gonna hold our guys and we're gonna ride it out and see what happens. And I don't think maybe that's a piece of why we haven't been able to, kind of replenish this running back room faster, is because we're just kind of letting a lot of these guys maybe just kind of die off. Where maybe we could have traded them for a 2nd or a 3rd at some point. And I understand you're trying to compete, so it's hard to do that. But there's a bit of a trend there, at least with a couple of these backs, just kind of just falling off the map.
You wouldn't be talking about Alexander Madison, would you?
Yeah, seriously. There's another one. I mean, he had value at some point. Rasheen Ali probably is going to get cut. I would imagine they're going to keep 3 running backs. It'll probably be Keaton Mitchell.
The odds are high.
Yeah, so I don't think that's much of a talking point. So let's go to receivers here, Sean. We got a little bit more to talk about here for sure. Starting right at the top, Justin Jefferson, clearly the guy on this team. So I think we're talking about a when and not an if in terms of a trade probably for Jefferson. To me, if you trade Josh Allen away, I think you got to be immediately thinking about trading Jefferson. Now the question is to who, and I think there's a handful of folks in the league that have the capital that Dan would want to do this, but I think it's not gonna happen like overnight. We'll say that there'll be a lot of discussions probably, and I guess in reality, like if you were to hold Jefferson, like it wouldn't be the end of the world because he's only 26. He's the type of receiver that can play easily till he's 30, 31, 32 because he's a route running guy. So like if you wanted to hold him, like you could. Whereas I think other types of receivers that are more based on speed, maybe you want to move off of those type of guys. But Jefferson, he's going to hold up. So I think you can go a lot of different ways here if you're Dan. But my gut is that he would want to trade him to acquire at least a few firsts and some extra stuff. So that's kind of the way I'm looking at it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it just comes down like you draw a line in the sand. Like this is the value I'm going to get if I don't get it.
You just hold.
Fuck it. Yeah, I'm going to keep him.
I mean, look at that. Look at that. That's crazy.
Yep.
That is a crazy line.
If this was a medical drama, he would be dead.
He's flatlining in the best possible spot.
Best possible way.
Like literally since 2021, he's been that value, which is crazy. If not, he was probably even higher back then because of his age. But now it's just crazy how good he's been. Justin Jefferson was another guy that was like a number 2 that I think I talked about last time on the podcast. Like he's a number 2 on a really good team with another good receiver. Like those guys tend to hit a lot more than, if you go back in history and look at some of those guys, like there's a lot of hits on guys like Devontae Smith and, multiple good wide receivers on one team. So probably don't need to spend a whole lot of time here other than saying that this is truly the guy from an asset standpoint. Like if this team from a rebuilding perspective, if you're trying to get maximum value, this is really the guy to trade. So the next guy on the list, he's been trying to move as well, DK Metcalf, going to a new situation with the Steelers. He is going to be their number 1 for sure. With Aaron Rodgers, still, not an old player, but he's going to be 28 this year. So he's kind of right in that prime, 6'4", 230, just an absolute brick of a human being. I mean, the guy is a complete freak of nature. I personally see his, like the way I look at him now is like late career Julio Jones, very like maybe not to that, like talent level, but just in terms of him being an absolute freakazoid athlete that will play well into his 30s because of like how gifted he is. Like he's one of those guys that like he's going to have value all the way till he's 32 and then eventually he'll just like drop off. But like from a dynasty perspective, like the situation isn't great right now for the Steelers because nobody knows what the hell's going on with the Steelers basically. So it's going to be interesting to see where his value ends up in a couple years time. But right now he's another tough guy to trade because we know he's a good receiver. We know he's going to last a while, but the situation has definitely made it challenging.
Yeah, I mean, no disagreements here. I'm a little behind on Metcalf as far as like redraft value for this year.
I don't even know. I couldn't even tell you.
But I mean, I've got him around like wide receiver 30 for this season. That's a few spots behind. It's not that far off, but I mean, it's tough. It's a lot of question marks. You don't like really know going into this year, and then past this year, even less. So. But I think he'll still get his. I mean, somebody has to in that offense. Like, I mean, Rodgers was still propping up Adams and Garrett Wilson for like solid fantasy season last year. So I just don't love the fit between those two, but I think just the volume is going to get him there for this season.
I think it's just going to have to work out. I mean, if you look at like any Aaron Rodgers team, I know he's 40, whatever, but like he's always had one guy that like does the back shoulder plays, does those, downfield throws. Like it's gonna be him. There's nobody else. So it's like there is no other option, for Aaron Rodgers this year. So like I feel like he's gonna be okay this year, but he might not just have those crazy elite numbers. Now, from Dan's team's perspective, is another guy who's trying to probably trade based on, value that he has right now. Current pick value here on KTC is, late first, 1.9, 1.10. That seems fair because of his age and because of just the overall situation of him being the number one, and he's got a long-term contract. So like that's pretty set, but it's just a hard guy to trade because like you're probably not going to get more than that. Like I don't even know how his value increases to that level to get more than, just like the keep trade cut value essentially. I think it would have to be a new quarterback, like a good young quarterback comes in and maybe you can get some more. But right now it's hard to imagine trading him for like a second. Like I don't think I would trade him for a second.
Yeah, I wouldn't trade a first for him, but I wouldn't give him up for a second. So I think that's probably why there's a bit of a maybe issue here trying to move him because I'm sure, like you said, I'm sure there's been offers out and in for Metcalf from both ways. So like I said, even for me, like even like hoping that my team is like towards the end of the first round, like if I had my first, it's not a player that I would move my first for right now.
Yeah, and I think for Dan specifically, like this is a player that you might want to just wait it out because if, first couple weeks of the year, mid-season, something like that, like turns out that DK Metcalf is going off and Aaron Rodgers and the connection's working really well, then maybe you can get that first, at that point. But right now, the nice thing is I do think his value is a little bit insulated. Whereas like, because he is only 27, he's super athletic. He's going to have a long career. He's a good receiver. Like, even if it sucks this year, like not even sucks, but just like it's mediocre and he gets like 1,004 or 5, like, he's still DK Metcalf. So it's like, that doesn't change anything in terms of the player. So like, I don't think his value is going to go down a whole lot one way or another, but it could go up a lot. So, will be an interesting player to monitor as we get closer to the season as well. Next on the list, we have Jerry Jeudy. Browns quarterback situation is an absolute train wreck, as it always is. Jeudy did have a nice little run there last year, for sure.
Yeah, the Jameis Winston weeks really propped him up.
I mean, it's kept his value. Look at his value. So literally, the day Jameis started to now is 2,000 points of difference in KTC value, which is crazy. I don't think nobody thought that he was like a garbage receiver, but nobody ever thought that he was a great receiver either. So he's kind of just, this is exactly where he's supposed to be, like a wide receiver 39. Like this, I don't know who's arguing. Like, first of all, this is fucking crazy to me. A 2.1 pick value. I'm not trading 2.1 for Jerry Jeudy. If I'm going to trade 2.1, I'm just going to go to get DK Metcalf instead. Like, I'm not trading that pick. So that, like, I don't know how this guy gets moved either. Like, he's another tough one to move based on the current situation.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even see him out targeting. I mean, assuming they play all games, and that'll never happen. But like, if him and Tillman are both on the field at the same time, I just don't particularly see either of them out targeting each other by that much. Because right after Amari Cooper got traded last year, there was 3 weeks before Tillman got his concussion where they were dead even in targets per game before Tillman got hurt. After
Tillman
the Amari
looked
Cooper
good
trade.
at times last year too.
He looked good.
He had moments.
So you put that together with probably a very heavy play action, trying to run, throwing to tight ends, and I think it's just a hot mess that you're going to have probably a lot of quiet weeks and a couple of like big play weeks from Jeudy is probably where I land on that one.
Yes, that's a tough one because like he's just not like a universally like well received player either. So it's not like he's easy to trade.
I'm definitely more of a Steve Smith guy if you catch the reference.
That was some wild shit. Definitely loved it though. Next on the list we got Michael Pittman. He's another guy that's his value's been trending downward over the last year and a half or so. It seems like he's an interesting spot because I don't know anybody that doesn't like Josh Downs as a player. I don't know one
Right.
analyst or anybody that I play with that's like, oh, Josh Downs is ass. Like nobody's saying that.
It feels like it comes at like the detriment of Michael Pittman. Like you like Downs,
Exactly.
which means you don't like Pittman. Like it's impossible to just like both of them at the same
Yeah.
time.
No, that's the point I'm getting at here is like you can't like Michael Pittman if you like these other guys. Like it's not allowed or something. Like I think Michael Pittman is fine.
Pittman to me is like just the definition of like a rock solid wide receiver 2 on an NFL team.
Yeah, like he's what I want Michael Wilson to be. I just
Yeah.
want you to be that. Like
Yeah.
he's even got the same first name. He's halfway there. So it's just like we just got to get a little bit forward, like keep pushing. But that's like I think he's a fine player that should be a high end 2, but isn't a high end 2 because of the situation. Like that's just basically where we're at. And he's older as well now. Like he was an old rookie when he came in. He's 28 this year. It feels like he's been in the league not that long because he hasn't. And I just don't know. Like I don't think I think we already seen his peak. I don't think we're gonna get more out of Michael Pittman. Like that's kind of where I'm at.
Could be an interesting maybe trade deadline guy if things aren't going well in Indianapolis.
Yeah.
Track that you might want to get off of. There's not a team in the league that wouldn't be like happy to have that kind of guy on the field with them.
Yeah.
Could be interesting. Maybe that helps Dan in a way if that potentially happens if you want to sell him. But
if he ends up in a better situation,
he's more talented than his situation right now, which is kind of a bummer.
Yeah, it's crazy because a couple of years ago he was like redraft wise, people were going nuts over Michael Pittman, like 4th, 5th round, and it just did not pan out. Next guy on the list is a recent trade acquisition from you, Sean. Is Jalen Noel for the Houston Texans.
Guy. Yeah.
One of your guys. So I'll leave you with the floor here.
I mean, Noel was definitely one of my favorite receivers in the draft. Always a bummer. You got to give something up to get something. So that's the price of doing business. I thought he was the better of the 2 receivers on that team at Iowa State last year. The only problem is I don't think that Houston feels that way, and that's where it comes into like where okay now he's the 3rd guy on that team. Like if I'm going to trade a receiver, like I want guys that are going to have the opportunity sooner rather than later on a competing team. So as just the player that ended up in that deal, I think I had options of players that I probably could have put into that trade, but I think for me right this moment, as far as like wanting to compete, I think he's going to have a harder time carving out like a high target share.
And they also brought in Christian Kirk as well, right?
Correct.
So like that, he's going to be the wide receiver 4 to start the year, probably.
Who is a similar comp, in fairness.
Yeah, not too different. So like, I mean, immediate return is probably not going to be great. To me, like from a draft perspective, like the way he came into the league, starting as like a 4 or 5 is not that different than Tank Dell did. Tank Dell was kind of like a 3 or 4 and just kind of earned his targets and got on the field more. So like, I wouldn't be shocked to see something similar. That being said, like if you're from your team's perspective, if you're going to trade a rookie, like we have a 23-year-old rookie, so slightly older. But you know, he's going to be, I think he's like a late, probably like actually right where they have him, 209, 301 in terms of pick value. So that makes sense. I think out of the 2 receivers, like I had them, the Iowa State guys, I had them neck and neck. Like I really didn't have a huge opinion one way or another. I really liked a lot of the stuff I saw from Noel, but he did drop some passes, which always concerns me, especially with slot receivers. So like, don't love that, but he runs great routes, and I think he'll be a good quality player in the NFL. I just don't know how lucrative it'll be for dynasty, especially early on. So I agree with you there. All right, let's go to the next guy, Michael Wilson. There he is. Just got to be Michael Pittman. That's all you got to do. Is just be Michael Pittman. I guess I'll talk about him for a little bit here. I do think he's a clog as it stands right now for a contending roster like mine. So I was fine giving him up in the deal. That being said, he is. I still think there's something left here on the bone. I just think the fit with Kyler Murray is awful. I don't think he's a special athlete either. So he can't really create a ton in terms of like being that, speedier wide receiver. I truly believe this team needs like a 2 outside of like a speedy 2 outside of Marvin Harrison. Like they need something different. And I think it's a very redundant asset to Marvin Harrison where he's a guy that wins on routes and he's a guy that wins on size.
You think
they don't use those.
You think they should bring Andy Isabella back or
Andy Isabella? I forgot he exists.
2nd round pick, by the way.
Rondale Moore, also a plague team member at one point.
He's on Minnesota right now.
Is he still in the league?
He's on the Vikings.
It's gotta be a returner. Yeah, he's gotta be something like that.
He might play if Addison's not.
Yeah, it's gonna be him and Ty Felton.
Yeah.
Jalen Naylor. So for Michael Wilson, like I actually kind of like still think there might be some meat left on the bone here, but like I don't feel like he's gonna get he's a bye week filler guy. He'll get you like 60 yards here and there. But for Dan's team, like he's a playable asset, which is kind of what we're looking for. And he has some.
If you're tanking, you love to play Michael Wilson.
He's a great tank commander. He is an awesome tank commander. Now that I think of it, I haven't really thought about that. Yeah, he's just. I think he's a great player, like from a NFL standpoint. But for fantasy, you're just not going to want to have him. Like he should be a wide receiver 3 on a team probably. So,
yep.
Anywho, moving on to Josh Palmer. I think we talked about him a couple of times already, but he's going to play, but I don't think it's going to be substantial. We like Josh Palmer. This is a Josh Palmer podcast.
Yep.
But I don't see it happening. Like, it's like I don't know how. It's a gut. I don't know.
I mean, if we're just talking just real life deployment of Josh Palmer in the offense, like he's probably the best outside receiver on that team as far as like an X. So like he'll probably play more than maybe people think because Keon Coleman's just not really super great on the outside. He does a lot better like lining up in slot, which I know we've kind of beaten to death talking about Keon Coleman. But so like I think he's going to play like maybe like a little more than like what that Matt Collins role was last year. Maybe like a little bit better than that.
He can do that.
So it's kind of where I'm at with Palmer. Where he'll probably have a couple of weeks where he'll probably get like, I don't know, like 10 to 12 fantasy points. And you're like, oh, all right.
There he is, Josh Palmer. I like Josh. But you see him on Red Zone and be like, yeah, Josh Palmer. All right. And then you go back to not caring again.
A full DiCaprio meme. Like
there he is. He's back. It's like the Bran Flakes commercial on SpongeBob. It's like, there he is. There I am, Gary. There I am. Like, dude, he's the same age as Michael Wilson. I didn't even know that. 2 years difference in the league, but he's same age. Interesting.
Wow.
Next guy on the list, Xavier Restrepo.
Wow.
The 4'8",
lowest guy on this team is impressive.
The 4'8" legend himself. My gut is that this guy works out. I don't know what it is. Like he's such a dog, and like I don't like to bet against these kind of guys. But then at the same time, he runs a 4'8", Sean. So I don't know. I'm totally stuck on him.
I got nothing for you. He's not going to win anything down the field. Like it's just going to be all like whips and like in the flat, just real classic white like slot receiver.
Just Hunter Renfrow shit.
Yeah.
Which could have some value, like on goal line plays and things like that. Like it could have some value.
Yeah. All right.
I'm definitely not trading a third for him. That's for sure.
Yeah, we'll see. It's so funny that like he's on this team because they drafted 2 rookie receivers too.
Right. If Calvin Ridley goes down, this might be just an all rookie receiving team. Like they might not have anybody else.
Honestly,
I couldn't even tell you who's on this roster.
I can't name another receiver.
Right, let's go. Let's go to our lads. Here we go. We do this every podcast. We're going to keep doing it.
Who's on the list?
This is not going to be good, Sean.
Oh, my God. Van Jefferson's on this team.
Oh, of course he is. Of course he is, Sean. Of course he is.
Treylon Burks is still on the team.
He's not making this roster, is he? Well, Tyler Lockett. I like Tyler Lockett.
You think they're going to pick up his 5th-year option? Or?
No, I don't think so. They got Jaquan Jackson. I liked him from last year.
They have somebody named Bryce Oliver on this team. I don't know who that is.
Apparently a college free agent from last year.
Yeah.
From Youngstown State.
This could not be better lined up for one of these 4th-round rookies. Just be the X receiver on the outside.
Somebody's got a shot.
One of them's
Somebody's
gonna
got a shot.
Man, I've
'Cause
got one of them.
Is Van Jefferson the most replaceable player in the history of the NFL?
I think it's
Yes.
him or Devin
The answer is yes.
It's him or Singletary. It's happened.
I think Van Jefferson's way more replaceable. Dude,
Yeah.
he was supposed to be something like back in the day and just never did. And now he's just around. He's just that guy. It's like, oh, well, we got to put somebody in there and he'll at least run the right routes. Like, that's basically where we're at.
Yeah.
Like he was a coach's son, so like he's not gonna like mess up. So at least he'll just be out there, but he's just not a difference maker in any way, shape, or form. Just the ultimate jag. All right, next guy on the list, who I think should have more value probably than Restrepo, is Kayshon Boutte, also acquired in a trade recently with the Lambs. I think he's making this roster for the Patriots, and I know they have a ton of guys on this team. I've loved one of the most random things, obviously, because I'm invested because I have the two shittiest players on this roster, in Jalen Polk and Javon Baker. So I have some extra interest in this receiving room, but they have quite literally like 9 guys, and I could see all of them making the team, which is completely insane. Like they're gonna only be able to keep like 6, so 3 of these guys got to go. So I think for sure Baker's done, and then now it's gonna come down to. Like, let me pull up this list again. Hold on. It's Mac Hollins. They gave $2 million or 2 years, $8 million, so he's not going anywhere.
Yeah, and they signed him. This regime signed him.
They brought him in. Yeah. So like, I think it's just going to be
and then obviously Diggs, Kyle Williams, and Pop Douglas are making the team.
Yeah, they're not going anywhere. So there's your 4 right there. So then it comes down to basically because they're gonna keep 6 or 7 tops.
What if like somebody just threw like a 7th, 6th round pick for like Polk and said, let's just get you out of there?
I think that's the most likely outcome is that it's going to be like a 6 for 7 pick swap and you get Jalen Polk.
Just sunk cost it and just move on kind of thing.
Yeah, you might as well get something because like at this point he's not making the team, and if you put him on a practice squad, he's going to get plucked.
Kendrick Bourne could be the same thing where he just gets traded to a team that, like, I don't know, maybe San Francisco, who's in wide receiver purgatory right now with all the shit there.
That could make sense. I mean, I'm looking at this team like it's Diggs, Hollins, Douglas, Kyle Williams as the guaranteed 4. Then you got to pick between Kendrick Bourne, Kayshon Boutte, Polk, Efton Chisholm, who they love apparently, and Javon Baker. So like to me, you're cutting. If you have to cut without trading, you're cutting Baker, you're probably cutting Chisholm and Polk, and then there's your 6. But like that doesn't feel good because you sunk all those costs into those players, and then Chisholm's actually looked good. But to me, I would cut Bourne. Like I think we've seen enough of Bourne, but I know the coaches love him.
Yeah, I don't think Bourne would clear waivers in the NFL. I think
he wouldn't. No, he would get picked up, but it's just like you have an upside. It's capped, so I don't know. But a team like you said, like a team like the 49ers might actually like really like that. So I think they'll be one of the more interesting preseason teams to watch at receiver because even like when it's NFL Network on a Thursday and they're like, or a Tuesday night and they're like replaying the games and it's like, oh look, the Patriots are. And it's like, okay, I can at least watch it because I can watch the receivers a little bit. Like that's kind of the fun of that.
That's just like the actual NFL sicko. Like, what are you looking forward to watching in the preseason? Like the wide receiver room in New England.
England, which I never wanted to watch ever in the history of ever, but now I do. Or like the running back room in Jacksonville. Oh hell yeah, I'm ready to watch I'm ready to watch Jaquindon Jackson in the 4th quarter. I'm ready. That's how deprived I am right now. I am so like I thought about preseason more than I've ever thought about preseason this year. I'm so hyped to watch some crappy 4th round running backs. All right, next guy on the list, Jimmy Horn. We're getting into the real.
Love Jimmy Horn.
I gotta tell you, Sean, this is very pertinent information, and it's really not at all. But it's pertinent to me. As I was watching YouTube the other day, and I was watching Xavier Legette has this YouTube channel where he's like showing what he's doing or whatever, and they're doing all the offseason workouts with Bryce Young, and they have all the other receivers there, and I saw a guy on like who was just like one of the receivers on the videos, like running routes or whatever, and he just like looked so unique compared to all the other guys. It was fucking Jimmy Horn. This guy is built like a brick shithouse. He is what like, and he was good too. He ran great routes, but he's like for 5'8", 174, the guy just like looks so interesting. Like he's like rocked up. He moves so fast compared to the other guys. Like I was like, this guy, he might have something here. We might have something in Jimmy Horn. So like I really believe.
That's the kind of weirdo like situation coming out of college that I would bet on a guy, because what if just being at Colorado around that situation,
Nothing was normal.
Yeah, like he's a size outlier, which is like the tough part, but
he's a unique guy on this team.
He's really good.
Like skill wise and body type wise, they don't have a guy like this on the team. So like it is like I think he's making this team for sure. Like I don't even think it's a question. Like they have nobody else.
Tat, Leggett, Thielen, Coker, and then you think he makes it over Renfro?
Yeah, or they keep 6 potentially.
David Moore always seems to just live on a roster.
He's a special team guy though. That's the thing is, can Jimmy Horn play special teams? That's what it's going to come down to.
I mean, he probably have to be a returner. 174, he's not going out there and gunning.
He's not gunning or tackling or doing any of that. So like he's gonna. But that's the thing is, might need a returner, honestly.
Yeah.
So that could work out. But anywho, all I have to say is I like Jimmy Horn.
great flyer for a tanky team.
Like everybody's rooting for the guy. Great flyer. Jacob Cowing, he was one of my guys last year. I really liked him. And I know you're not a fan, but there was like I thought at times at Arizona he looked significantly better than Ted, which is crazy.
I will tell you on paper right now he's looking pretty good considering nobody else is receiving the ball in San Francisco.
Yeah, they don't have anybody else. The thing is like he's a tried and true slot guy. So if he's on the field, he's going to be in the slot. He's going to be an interesting guy to watch in preseason, I think, this year, because if he balls out a little bit, then maybe he gets a bump up. But right now, he's a classic flyer for this team. Then we got Jalen Nailor, another guy who I really like coming out of Michigan State a couple years ago.
Yeah.
I think if the Addison suspension comes up, he's going to be the 2, and like he's going to look good probably. Like it's just, I think he's just a good player, and like he's at least a 3 in the NFL, if not a low end 2. So I think he's at least has some level of upside one way or another. I think he's a guy that might move on. God, he reminds me of this guy who had such a crazy NFL story. Who was it? He was a Washington receiver from like probably 6 years ago now. He was like never like the guy, never even a starter really. But then it was Ryan Grant. Do you remember Ryan Grant, the receiver? Like he was like good, and everybody's like, "Oh yeah, he's a good high-end guy." And then they went to like he signed with the Ravens, and then had like a failed physical or something, and didn't get that giant contract or whatever he was supposed to get. Like that's literally like the same type of player I see Jalen Nailor. Like just a good guy, like a good solid 3 that'll probably get overpaid as a 2 somewhere at some point, on a bad team like the Jags or something. So anyway, like he's a guy I think I would hold. At least for a little while, and then boy, seeing Keenan down, then it's tough to see him down here. It's tough because he's so good. He was such a good player.
It's what you would like to call over.
It's over, and I hate to say it, but this is another guy that we held too long. Probably, I mean, like he's another guy like we didn't capitalize on the value.
I think I traded him Keenan Allen when I came back into the league.
He was on my team at one point.
You traded me Keenan Allen when I got back into the league, and then I traded him away.
Yeah, there he goes.
Let's see. We can find this. We have the technology.
Yeah, dude, Keenan was like one of my top 5 favorite receivers in the NFL. I just loved him. Such a good route runner.
Picked by Dan, 3.04 2018, but I think that's when we joined Sleeper.
That's when we moved over, yeah. So that's not going to be accurate. Anywho, we'll wish him well in his eventual retirement. Maybe he gets signed somewhere as like a random filler or whatever, but he's not fantasy relevant anymore, unfortunately. Ray McLeod, he's in here. He actually had a halfway decent season last year, but
yeah, he should not be under, like, he should be
How
like
is he under Cowan?
he should be like above Restrepo. Like,
I mean, he's at least for this year, he's going to play.
he'll score probably. Let's see, he's not going to obviously
He should be somewhere between Keishon Boutte and Jimmy Horn.
He's not going to score more than Pittman, Metcalf, Judy. But after that, he's probably wide receiver like 5 on this team in scoring this season.
That's actually insane.
It's between him.
You want to talk about a tank commander, Ray McCloud.
It's him, Palmer, and Michael Wilson are like just
what a fucking trio right there,
tank, baby.
What if he gets rid of Metcalf? And like, honestly, if he gets rid of Metcalf, Judy, Jefferson in like the full rebuild, dude, that would be an electric team.
I can't wait for a Ray McCloud.
I hope that when I play Dan, that is
starting lineup.
Oh my god, I hope I get Ray and Michael Wilson out there. I hope it would be so fun. Man. All right, and then we have the aforementioned Efton Chisholm is down here at 957.
Disrespect.
I know he might not make the team, but gosh, he's not even 1,000. And then Jordan Watkins, who's a rookie that I had no interest in the actual draft. Somehow he got picked in the 4th round. I don't know why.
He's not. I wouldn't have taken him there.
No, he was. I had him as like a 7th at best in the NFL draft, so he got way overdrafted in my opinion. That's what the Niners do love to draft poorly. So that doesn't surprise me. Let's get into the tight end room, where I think that this is actually kind of turned into a nice little rebuilding room here.
Some could say it's the strength of the team, potentially, especially if he trades Jefferson.
Yeah, I mean, if the guys that are supposed to be traded get traded, then yeah, this probably is. So starting at the top here with the rookie Mason Taylor, like there is absolutely no competition in the Jets tight end room. It's Stone Smart. I hate to say it, James, but Stone Smart is not a number 1 tight end in the NFL. So somebody's going to have to get these inline tight end spots. Mason Taylor is absolutely that guy.
I would take whatever assuming like it's a favorable line for him, like he could definitely lead like the rookie tight ends in fantasy points this year. Like there's definitely that realm.
Opportunity wise, I think he's probably got the best.
Yeah.
Like who I mean, maybe
unless like
Tyler Warren.
Well, Tyler Warren's just like that, like schemed perfectly into that system year 1. But like I mean, Taylor's just gonna like he's got 50 catches for 500 yards and 5 touchdowns just written all over him for his career.
Yeah, I could see that. I think with Taylor too, he's so young. He's only 21. I think he just turned 21. Like it might not happen overnight or anything like that, but like if he's gonna get that tight end 1 starting experience at age 21, which almost no tight end gets. Like I can't think of the last time I remember a 21-year-old starting tight end 1 on an NFL team. It just almost doesn't happen. So if that happens and he gets the experience, like he could really be something good. And I'm not even a giant Mason Taylor fan, but like the situation is kind of, the more you look at it, it's really aligning itself well for like maybe not this year or next year, but in the future, like maybe a year 3 breakout, maybe like a Trey McBride type route to relevancy, where, maybe it takes a little bit of time to get going. But man, if he's getting this kind of experience, I'm starting to really like turn the corner on Taylor, I think, as like a dynasty asset. Because at first I was kind of like, I don't know, like there's still some missing pieces of his game and he's still young and it's going to take a while. But now I'm starting to like kind of lean into it, especially on a rebuilding team like this. It's starting to make a lot more sense. And the fact that he traded for Jake Ferguson means that he can start Jake Ferguson this year right out the gate. Good tank commander, because he's going to lose you some games, and he's definitely going to have some games where it's like, oh, okay, there's Jake Ferguson. There he goes for like 80 yards or whatever down the seam. And then there's going to be some games where he does nothing and drops touchdown passes.
He's going to be starting Ferguson and Ertz this year, most likely.
Very, very likely. I mean, we're talking about starting Ray McCloud.
Isaiah likely.
It's very Isaiah likely. So, I mean, all in all, this is not a bad tight end room in terms of just like, you got guys to start this year. You have a developmental rookie. You got kind of everything you need there. So it's not like going into the rebuild. This is not a position of need as it stands right now. So which is good, because you don't really want to spend the high draft capital on tight ends if you don't have to. So I kind of like that as well. All right, so let's go into the draft pick page here. So for 2026 this year coming up, he's got 2 firsts. He got the 26th first from the Cheese Fries in that Josh Allen trade, as well as his first from this year as well, which I'm sure that he wants this to be as, a top 3 pick, which I think it most likely will be. Now, if we trade Jefferson and we, trade these other guys, like we could be contending with the Muskrats. But either way, he should have at least one high end first, and then probably a back end first with the Cheese Fries. So that's solid. Then a couple of thirds and fours next year. But then he's also got the Cheese Fries first for next year in 2027, which should be a very good draft class, as well as his first, assuming that he's not going to be playing well again next year. He should be a very high pick next year. So he's got 4 firsts over the next couple of years. But this team really needs to get more picks. I mean, if we're talking about, the talent level that we have at the running back position, what we're losing potentially at the receiver position, what we lost at quarterback, like we need just more overall picks, probably, I would say, Sean. So now how you go about getting them, or to me, I don't even know if you really need the picks as much. I thought about this a couple different times, and I think even on the Cheese Fries podcast, but you could use these assets to get younger, good assets as well. Like you could go out and get like a Garrett Wilson, or, it's just guys that are younger that already are somewhat proven, that you don't have to like kind of gamble on the lottery picks or wait as long to produce. That's an option as well, but we just don't see that quite as often in our league. I feel like we see a lot more draft pick trading.
Yeah, no doubt. I think because you got to like find a sweet spot of a team's just kind of like throwing in the white towel at that time to get those kind of players. And like when you've got those kind of players, it's kind of hard because you typically think you got a shot.
And if you have those players, it's hard to get the full value.
Yeah, it's very like our league the last couple of years has been very haves and have-nots. So there hasn't been a lot of like middle ground.
Yeah, it seems like there's been like, I think last year there was a lot of that, and then now that the Elk are kind of out, in the rebuild, but back up again, and then you have teams like the Plague that have chosen kind of basically at this point to be out. The Muskrats are out. The Lambs have been out as well. So like it like you said, it's a lot more cut and dry than it used to be. Where I feel like we were always talking about like the Elk as that middle ground team, and like the even the Armadillos at one point were kind of like that, and the Lionheads. So like we have all these teams that were kind of in that muck. I think James called it the muck one year, where it was like that pack of teams that were kind of in that 2 to 6 range. And then now I feel like it's a little bit more defined where teams are kind of headed. So should be an interesting offseason, or a couple of off seasons for the Plague. But I think the management aspect of this team, and I think it goes a bit under the radar, I'll say that, is when you're a rebuilding team, the in-season management of going through the waiver wires and making these smaller deals, and kind of finding some random hits here and there on the waiver wire, it is important to rebuild these teams. Like even a guy like Kayshon Boutte, like to pick a guy like that up off of waivers. I think James picked him off waivers and then turn him around for something else. Like just those little moves can kind of like trickle in talent when you're not, picking 15 times, throughout the year. You can always find a guy here, a guy there, and then turn them into something else.
Jalen Hurts was a waiver ad, was he not?
He was a waiver ad off of Dan's team, as a matter of fact. So that hurts a little bit. But that's the thing, is like you can find these guys. You just kind of have to identify the talent and churn the roster, which was by far my favorite. It's actually my least favorite part about being a contender, is I love churn. Yep. And I'm sitting here on my team right now where I was looking earlier, I got 4 cuts to make, but I'm like, man, I would love to go out there and just see what's out there. But it's like, I can't even if I had a shot, like I can't do it.
That is the fun part of rebuilding. You're like, I can just fucking cycle through these guys, and if it doesn't work out, I don't care.
Yeah. Like even if you pick up a guy and then like, you have to cut him a couple, 2 weeks later, and then he breaks. I was like, hey, I had him on my roster for a little bit. It's like I had that guy on my squad. And so it's kind of it is fun just to churn through, like when you see Jalen Conyers get picked up, or guys like these random jackasses that likely will never do a damn thing. It just does keep things interesting. So, but I do think like as fun and somewhat irrelevant it can be at times, it also can be very relevant if you get the right guys.
You could have irrelevant rookies like Mitchell Evans and Nick Nash on your team, Eric, right now if you're rebuilding. Think about that.
I don't want any of that. I don't want to see
I'm
like those
just,
are the
I'm just looking at the available rookies.
yeah. Let's do this. Let's go. Let's go to sleeper. This would be a good way to end the episode. Let's find some random guys on the waiver wire that I would add if I could. That'll be fun. All right, let's go to available, and then we're gonna just do projected.
Oh, it's bad out here. Oh, it's bad.
Oh, it's real bad. They're all kickers. I gotta get. All right, let's go to running back. Okay, it's like Emmanuel Wilson. He's a fun waiver wire guy.
Parker Washington.
I like Parker Washington. Here we go. Now we're talking. Those guys would both be rostered if I was Alex. Oh boy, it really is bad.
Tim Patrick?
I would pick up Julius Chestnut just for the vibes. Who'd you say?
Tim Patrick.
Oh, I like Tim Patrick as well. Marcus Yarns. That's a fun one. I know what Vince is doing to churn in another league with him. Let's see the receivers. Receivers are bad.
If either of the receivers in Philly get hurt, Jahan Dotson's out there.
I mean, say what you want, but De'Ami Brown is going to play.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think he should be a free agent.
I think he'll probably start in 2 receiver sets.
He's going to be the sacrificial X for sure.
I think that's where Hunter probably doesn't play. Like, he just like if you're assuming like 3/4 of the time teams are in 3 receiver sets anyway, like that's probably when you give him like a break.
Yeah, I think that makes a ton of sense. I also think Brandon Cooks in New Orleans could play.
Yeah, that is also another workshop I've got going. Like, how like that offensive situation for a rookie quarterback is really not that bad.
It could be a lot worse. It could be a lot worse when you think about who they got around them.
If you're into what they got going on that offensive line, if those 5 starters are playing, like that's pretty solid.
I mean, compared to like a team like the Titans with Cam Ward, like
I think it's a better situation.
I think it's much better.
Kellen Moore is not like a world beater like as a play caller, but he's definitely not bad.
I think he's adequate.
He feels like he'll be like a Zach Taylor level of like he's not bringing you down, but he's not like
he's not an elevator. No, like dude, the more I think about Zach Taylor, I'm like, I don't know if I like that guy. I think he just is like meh. He's just a guy.
Like Joe Burrow runs the offense. It's like hard
it's Joe Burrow. It might as well just be his team.
It's like the Sirianni question. Like, what is it that you do here?
Like Sirianni's a vibes guy though.
Yeah, he's a culture guy, which is.
But like, I don't see Zach Taylor being a culture guy.
Zach Culture's got about the same amount of culture as white America.
The Bengals don't have culture. Their culture is not paying players, and literally can't even have a pass rusher into the building at this point. They can't even get a guy into the building.
It's really bad.
It's not good. All right, let's wrap it up there. Hour and 23 in.
Not longer than the Elk. We did a great job.
We managed to keep it under an hour 30, which is good. I'll finish. How about we close with this? Is this team, if they trade away the guys that we think they might, could they finish ahead of? Could they get the number 1 pick?
Yes.
So that would be a real Donnybrook between him and Alex.
Needs to get on it though, for sure.
Yeah, I don't know if you could afford like to hold on to like Jefferson and Metcalf and some of these other guys, and then like maybe win a game or 2 because of them, and then just like ruin your shot. Like it doesn't make some sense. Like, but it should be interesting to see. Wait, who does Dan play early in the year? That's another good point. Let's take a peek.
Probably should be running down the schedule for these teams as we.
Yeah, well, we could do a whole episode on that. So he plays you week 1.
Hell yeah!
So that's fun.
I'd love to see that. That means I get him twice.
That does mean, and then he gets the Elk week 2.
So the teams that he plays twice are me, Dustin, you, Alex. That's important.
Week 4, Donnybrook.
Week 13 could actually decide the first pick if he just sells.
I gotta tell you, week 4 is a banger on the schedule. We got Cheese Fries Armadillos, Long Gamers Bombers, Muskrats Plague in the Tank Bowl, Lauderdale Lionheads versus the Elk, great matchup, and then the Lambs Battle Axes. That's a hell of a squad. I love that lineup. That slate is nice. A lot of prime time there.
That
All
almost
right.
makes me think like he should really press to like sell if he's got Alex twice. Like
Yeah,
that
that's
is
a great point. That's 2 wins potentially.
yeah. I
Wow.
mean the ball is in Dustin's court. Like why are you not trading for Jefferson yet? Like just it makes too much sense.
I think there's a couple of teams that are in the running for him, but it's just a matter of how
Yeah,
it ends up and value. So we'll see.
yeah.
Well, all right. Well, we'll wrap it up there. Next week we will be doing the long gamers, and then we will be doing the armadillos the week after that, and then wrapping up with the muskrats in the 100th episode. Chicago Spectacular. It should be all kinds of good stuff towards the end here. So